Ew, dude, it literally reeks like Volvo gravy. What's up, guys? It's Drifts and Lifts here. All right, so today's video, if you guys watched the last video, you'll notice that I pretty much have my blue wagon complete. So the last video, we actually still needed to get it on the dyno, and we've actually just done that. So shout out to Post Haste Performance for retuning this thing, getting it all spiffed up, and yeah, making that tune nice and clean so I can rip around to this thing safely and not blow the engine up for the third time. So actually, just quickly, guys, we made 400 wheel horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque on this car. I'll pop the hood in a sec here just to show you guys a couple little things that I've done since the last video. But we actually had to turn the car down a little bit in the boost because our clutch was slipping. So we could have made closer to 450 if we wanted to, but the clutch would not handle it. So we turned it down to 400, and honestly, this car is an absolute rocket ship, being that it is super, super lightweight. I actually probably didn't mention in the last video that I actually took this thing to a industrial scale, and it weighed 2,500 pounds with a full tank of ethanol. 1140 kilogram for the blue wagon. So my goal weight for this car was 2,500 pounds, and it looks like I surpassed that even by a little bit. So really stoked about that, guys. I'm just really pumped to have this car all done now. Got my girl Sarah rolling it up. Look at this, guys, we're matching. Blue wagon, blue sedan, hell yeah. Cool car, Sarah. So a couple things since the last video, guys. I added this strut tower bar, so that's paint matched to everything as well. We got our intercooler piping back on, our cone filter, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, for the engine bay. It is super tidy. I did a little bit of detail on it. Looks really good. I do want to change up the wiring a little bit. We're gonna move this into the car. But there you go, guys. It's pretty much darn complete. But instead of going for a rip in it today, because there's a lot of people on the road right now, it's actually just like around 4:30. There's gonna be way too many people to go rip this thing properly. I wanted to show you guys the reason why I actually built this car in the first place. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you guys will obviously remember the panel wagon. So I was ripping that car for a while, and I honestly didn't really get much seat time in it. I kind of built the car, and we did a couple videos in it. We bombed it around to the track a few times, and that was pretty much the end of that car. So here's the reason why I actually decided to scrap that car, take all the parts out, and put them all into a new shell. I actually filmed some footage from almost a year ago now when we had the panel wagon up on the lift. And I'm gonna show you guys this right now because it is actually crazy how rusty the car was. When I got the car, I didn't realize how rusty it was. We're talking the panel wagon, not this thing. This car is zero rust, it is super clean, which I'm stoked about. But the panel wagon was an absolute gong show. The main reason I'm parting this out is because recently our local track, Mission Speedway, actually implemented some new rules, and we're unable to do tandems now unless we have a roll cage. So I have been planning on roll caging a car eventually. Now, the only problem is this car, the panel wagon, was much too rusty to roll cage. So this car has like an extreme amount of rust. I haven't really ever showed you guys how rusty this car is. It is brutally rusty. It's probably the rustiest car that I've ever owned. So I'm gonna be swapping all these parts into a much cleaner shell. So the panel wagon is gonna be reborn. For now, I just wanna show you guys real quick why I am parting out this car and why I'm not gonna go ahead and continue building this thing. So let's just kind of go over the rust on this thing. So we got this whole patch here in the wheel well. That is, you know, it's all the way into the floor. This is completely through. On the front wheel well, tons of rust there. This is a hole that I cut out, so it wasn't actually from rust. But if we go over here, there's another hole right here. Oh, and then here's the best part, guys. So I actually tried to repair this the other day, and obviously I didn't do a very good job, and there's so much oil and crap on the bottom of this car that it's just disgusting. But this whole thing was rusted out all the way up through here, all the way into there. Whereabouts? What else we got? Oh, here's one of the worst spots. If you guys check that out. So this was actually spraying water at my leg when I would drive this car. So just ridiculous. You can't have water spraying at your leg when you're driving. So we got another rust hole right here, which is, you know, pretty bad. Honestly, it's starting to affect the structure of the car, I believe, at this point, because even this thing's rusting out pretty bad. So let's crawl a little ways down here. So we got another rust hole right here, another rust hole right here. Surprisingly, no rust holes there. We got another rust hole right here. We got another rust hole right here. So that should give you guys a pretty good idea of why I'm not gonna continue building this car. So panel wagon is no more, guys. The panel wagon is Dunbar. So there you go, guys. That is the footage from almost a year ago now. So I think that was around 9 to 10 months ago was when I decided to scrap the panel wagon and rebuild this car. You know, it just takes a long time to build these cars, and I'm really stoked that I finally have this thing pretty much where I want it to be. So I present you guys basically what my idea of the perfect 740. I really like cars that are really simple on the outside, look really clean. I like factory colors. You know, this blue looks really, really good. And then on the inside, it's full party mode. So, you know, 400 horsepower B230 FT running 30 plus pounds of boost, fully stripped out interior. Actually, I'll show you guys this because you wouldn't have seen this in the last video. So I actually tidied everything up, fully stripped out these doors, cleaned them up, painted the insides. Actually, I did that for the driver door as well. If you notice, I actually don't have a lot of light here, guys. I apologize, but the whole floor is painted black. I tucked all my ECU stuff up nice in that region. We put this thing back on the dash. In the back, oh, we fully bled the brakes. The brakes were pretty bad when I showed you guys this car last time. I added the final touch, the turbo intercooler badges from an old school, actually these are from a turbo diesel model. So I chopped the diesel off the turbo and then I just added the intercooler. So what we have now is a Volvo 740 GLE turbo intercooler. So it's like we're stacking trim packages now. And honestly, guys, the reason why I love this car so much, I'm pretty much just blabbing right now, so don't mind me, but I really, really like the chrome trim, and you actually couldn't get chrome trim on a turbo model, if you guys didn't know that. So although I shouldn't say that because the 760 turbo, you could get chrome trim, but if we're just talking 740 turbo, all of those cars had black trim everywhere. So this is kind of a special car because it is now a turbo car with the outside look of a nice clean factory GLE wagon. So I didn't really mention, but my good friend Fraz, he's actually one of the guys who works at Fish Racing Tech. Shout out to Fish Racing Tech. Actually, they're the guys who hooked me up with this really, really sick hydro e-brake. So Fraz is one of the guys that works there, and we became pretty good buddies over the last little while. He's helped me out with a lot of stuff on this, some of the wiring. And one of the big things that Fraz did for me was he actually welded the B230 bell housing to the BMW ZF transmission for me. So the last one that I got done was by my friend Dennis Blom. Shout out to Dennis. He actually sourced the tranny in Sweden, did the work for me, and shipped the tranny over. This way, it was actually a lot easier and cheaper for me to get it done locally, obviously, because shipping is so expensive. So if you guys are looking to do something similar in your Volvos, my friend Fraz can hook you up. So this is his Instagram, so check that out. And if you guys are interested in doing something like this, Fraz can do that. But anyways, guys, so I apologize that we're not going for a rip in this car right now. I promise we're gonna be doing that very soon. That's pretty much, you know, the reason why I built this car. As you guys can see, the panel wagon was super full of rust. As cool as that car was, it was more or less the capsule that was, you know, testing all the parts that were going to eventually end up in this car. So, yeah, honestly, guys, I can't be any more happy with how this thing turned out. It is honestly incredible. It rips like so good. I know 400 wheel horsepower isn't like groundbreaking for one of these engines or these cars by any means, but what is groundbreaking in my opinion is getting a wagon down below 2,500 pounds. It took a lot of just random things to do that, including this aluminum hood saves me 20 pounds right there. Even the things like deleting the factory wiring harness and running basically just a very, very simple wiring setup that only does tail lights and headlights and brake lights. That probably, you know, saved me 30 to 40 pounds right there. The last thing I can do, obviously this thing has plexi windows, front and rear. Last thing I'm gonna do is get a aftermarket seat for the passenger, because these factory Volvo seats are pretty darn heavy in comparison to the NRG or just any typical racing bucket that you would get. So yeah, guys, honestly, can't really be more stoked about this. I'm really pumped. So before I go, make sure to check out the Drifts and Lifts store. We have merchandise on the store, and I really want to get this NA build going, guys. Now that I have this car complete, it's my turbo wagon. Now I want to start shuffling funds over to the non-turbo build project that we're going to be doing on the gold car. So if you guys want to support the channel, a great way to do it. And our new designs are pretty darn sick if you haven't seen them. They're basically the old school beer designs, but revamped with some cool features and differences in them. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe for hot, dense Volvo gravy. Peace out.